Hi, I'm Kevin, and this is Haunted by Horror. Christmas is quickly approaching, and many of us are counting down the days by watching some of our favorite holiday classics. However, if you're anything like me, and the saccharine sweet offerings of Lifetime and Hallmark make you want to vomit up your eggnog, and all the Christmas cult love bombing is enough to make you want to punch a bell ringer, then the movies on this list may be just what you need to fill that void in your dark little soul and make your Christmas, if not merrier, at least a little scarier. This is 12 holiday horror movies that'll have you hiding under the Christmas tree. Number 12, I Trapped the Devil, 2019. A man descends into paranoia after trapping what he believes to be the devil in his basement. But things take a dark turn when his estranged brother Matt and his wife unexpectedly arrive for Christmas. Now, this isn't a perfect movie. It's not a gory movie. It has a lot of suspense. This movie's all suspense. It's a pretty decent watch for Christmas. It really captures the Christmas spirit. That's why it's number 12 on this list. Number 11, P2. Angela's working late on Christmas Eve. When she finally decides to leave, she goes down to the parking garage, only to find that her car won't start. Thomas, the garage security guard, offers to help. He also invites Angela to have dinner with him. But when she refuses, Thomas knocks her out. She then wakes up to find that she's chained to a chair in Thomas's office and must fight for her life in order to escape from the garage. Now, this is really your basic cat and mouse kind of horror movie that takes place on Christmas Eve. I've heard some people say that this movie is underrated, but I don't really buy that because I remember when this movie came out, there was an entire wall of it at Blockbuster. It's a decent movie. I don't think it's as great as some people make it out to be, which is why it isn't higher on this list, but it's okay. Number 10, Mercy Christmas, 2017. Michael Brisket meets the perfect woman, and his ideal Christmas dream comes true when she invites him to her family's holiday celebration. However, Michael's dreams are quickly shattered when he realizes what she really meant when she told him they'd love to have him for dinner. This is a very low budget movie, and for what it is, for what it sets out to do, it does it really well. It's not a high art film at all. It's very basic cannibal Christmas movie. That's what it is. It's a cannibal Christmas movie. But sort of the dynamic of the family upstairs having this holiday celebration while they have people chained in their basement and they're, carving off legs to have for dinner and things like that is interesting. Initially going into the movie, I expected a lot less, and I really enjoyed this film, so that's why it's number 10 on this list. Number 9, A Cadaver Christmas, 2011. A dark force is at work in the Cadaver Lab this Christmas, and an unconventional band of heroes, including a janitor, a drunk, a bartender, a cop, his perp, and a student security guard, are the only hope the world has against an army of living corpses that are quickly recruiting new members. The undead have been given the gift of life this Christmas, and it's up to this ragtag team of misfits to give them a full refund. I first heard of this movie from the YouTube channel Rotted Reviews as part of his advent calendar of horror that he's done for the last 3 or 4 years. He reviewed this movie a couple years ago, and I have to say, it really is hilarious. It's more of a comedy. There's a lot of blood and stuff. It's definitely very low budget, but it's a very funny movie. But if you want to check out his review of this movie, I will put a link down in the description. Number 8, Inside, 2007. A French slasher in which a scissor-wielding psychopath terrorizes a pregnant widow on Christmas Eve. This movie isn't for everyone. It has a lot of body horror, and I know for some people that's like the one thing they can't take. Um, so if that's the case, you might want to skip it, but it really is a good movie. A couple of years ago, they did an American remake of this movie, and I haven't seen that, so I can't speak to its quality, but the original film is definitely worth a watch. Number 7, Advent Calendar, 2021. A Belgian horror film in which Eva, a paraplegic former dancer, receives an antique wooden advent calendar before Christmas. She realizes each window contains a surprise that triggers repercussions in her real life. Some of them good, but most of them bad. Now Eva will have to choose between getting rid of the calendar at the risk of being killed by the malevolent entity within the calendar, or walking again, even if it causes death to everyone around her. This movie is available to stream exclusively on Shudder. It's a pretty decent movie. The only thing I'll say is that there are some slow parts, and part of the reason is because it's a full advent calendar. I feel like maybe if they would have cut it down to 12 days, it would have picked up the pace a little bit. Um, but otherwise, it's a pretty decent movie, and it's definitely worth checking out. Number 6, Silent Night, 2021. A couple invite their closest friends to join their family for Christmas dinner at their idyllic home in the English countryside. As the group comes together, it feels like old times, but behind all the laughter and merriment, something isn't quite right. And that's all I can really say about this movie without spoiling it. Of course, it's available to stream exclusively on AMC Plus, and there's a 2-sentence description of this movie on AMC Plus that spoils the movie. So, um, overall, this is a pretty good movie. I will say the ending irritated me. It still irritates me. I won't go into what it was that irritated me, but I'm sure if you watch the movie, you'll understand what I'm talking about because it didn't make sense. Um, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But it is a good movie overall. Anyway, moving on. Number 5, Krampus, 2015. While the holiday season represents the most magical time of year, ancient European folklore warns of Krampus, a horned beast who punishes naughty children at Christmas time. When dysfunctional family squabbling causes young Max to lose his festive spirit, it unleashes the wrath of the fearsome demon. As Krampus lays siege to the Engel home, Mom, Pop, sister, and brother must band together to save one another from a monstrous fate. I feel like at this point, most people have seen this movie or at least heard of it. It's a pretty good movie. It's got really good practical monster effects. The CGI is pretty bad, but the practical stuff is pretty good. The only thing I will say is that this movie does what a ton of movies, so many movies do, which is just making it too dark when they have monsters so that you can't really get a good look at how well the effects are done. And that just kind of irritates me, not just about this movie, but about a lot of movies. I feel like a lot of movies, I see the behind the scenes stuff and really get a good look at the creatures and realize you didn't really get to see that on screen. This movie's not as bad as some about that, but it's just something in general that irks me about movies. I, I really love the portrayal of Black Friday in this movie. I think it's really good. It really is a good movie. A lot of people watch this movie every year at Christmas time. If you haven't watched it, you definitely should check it out. And even if you have, maybe you should rewatch it. Number 4, The Lodge, 2019. A soon-to-be stepmom is snowed in with her fiance's 2 children in a remote cabin just before Christmas. Events from her past come back to haunt her as strange and frightening events take place. This movie is really bleak. I think that would be the best description. It goes some dark places, and it's not the most depressing movie ever, but it's definitely not happy. And I really wish I could say more about it without spoiling it, but I might do something in the future, like a full review of this movie. But I definitely think it's worth a watch. Number 3, Better Watch Out, 2016. Babysitter Ashley must defend the young boy in her care when intruders break into the house one snowy night, or so she thinks. Now, I remember when this movie first came out, people said a lot of good things about it, but I didn't watch it until this year. And I don't know why I didn't watch it. I just didn't. And I wish I would have watched it sooner. This is really a good movie. I almost feel like this movie could be a prequel to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because the kid in this movie is Ferris Bueller to a T. Even his relationship with his best friend is just like Ferris's relationship with Cameron. And I really like this movie. Number 2, Anna and the Apocalypse, 2018. An English black comedy horror musical in which a zombie apocalypse threatens the sleepy town of Little Haven at Christmas time, forcing Anna and her friends to fight, slash, and sing their way to survival, facing the undead in a desperate race to reach their loved ones. But they soon discover that no one is safe in this new world, and with civilization falling apart around them, the only people that they can truly rely on are each other. This is another one that I only just saw this year, but man, I was glad I watched this movie. It's doing a lot. It's a musical, it's a horror, it's a comedy, there's a lot of action in it, but everything that it does really well. I have to say, my favorite part of this movie is where Anna's ex-boyfriend and his friends come in and have this very frat boy mentality about taking on the zombies, and they're excited and they're singing about it. There's something about just seeing this sort of dude bro culture in musical form that I find hilarious. It reminded me a lot of the show Scream Queens. There was one scene in that show where they were playing a Backstreet Boys song, and all these frat boys go out dressed in white and are just beating the shit out of things to this Backstreet Boys song. And it's the same kind of thing, and I don't know why, but that's just so funny to me. This movie has really good pacing, and it doesn't always do what you would expect it to. And I just really, really like this movie. Probably the only thing that I will say about this movie is, if you were in a zombie apocalypse, hold on to your fucking weapon. But other than that, this is a great movie. You should definitely check it out. And finally, number 1, Black Christmas, 1974. As winter break begins, a group of sorority sisters begin to receive anonymous, lascivious phone calls. Initially, Barb, played by Margot Kidder, eggs the caller on, but stops when he responds threateningly. Soon, one of their sorority sisters goes missing from the house, and a local adolescent girl is murdered, leading the girls to suspect that a serial killer is on the loose. But no one realizes just how near the culprit is. This movie's great. It's one of my favorite horror movies. There are a lot of really strong female characters in this movie, but it's not in the kind of overt, oh, we don't need a man, we can do this ourselves, where it's scripted into it. Just the characterization of the women show that they're strong and independent, and it's great. I love this movie. Particularly, I love Margot Kidder's character. I think she's hilarious in this movie. If you haven't seen this movie, you need to watch it. And if you have seen it, watch it again. Anyway, thanks for watching my video. Happy holidays.